very good evening to you, and many thanks for choosing us to inform you this evening, the 21st day of May, the year 2023. And it is the day that we continue to monitor the latest development in the world of business, politics, and of course sports. And key focus, we are following on President William Ruto's trip to the United States, where it comes with a lot of promises, where trade, of course that is bilateral trade, and areas to do with the economy will be a top agenda discussion later on. And of course here in the country there is some still latest development in regard to the junior secondary, that is in turn teachers demonstrations that have entered day 2. And that is the discussion that we'll be having later on tonight on our State of the Nation. And remember, still the mountain continue to erupt. And of course, what is happening there? This comes at the backdrop of the Limuru 3 meeting that of course evokes some sort of reaction. And of course, the genuine intention and the real objective of this Limuru 3 is not yet, at least, clear to many people. A meeting that is supposed to unite, quote unquote, the mountain seems to be dividing the mountain. So what is happening? That is the discussion that will be coming to you later on our State of the Nation. Remember, our reporters have been up and down to bring you up to speed with what is happening in the world of politics, and of course that is business and sport. And this is what to expect in the next 1 hour or so.
This
we have close to 5 million Kenyans. We have close to
All right, so thank you once again for choosing to stay with us. This is the 21st day of May, and of course to help me bring you to this very 360 unparalleled and of course a full packed And of course, once again, thank you for joining us to inform you this evening. To help us in our sign language interpretation department is Lucy Kiarie. So tonight we begin in Atlanta, that is in the United States, where unemployment is one of the major problems facing Kenyans desperately seeking job opportunities to meet their day-to-day needs. While addressing Kenyans in diaspora in Atlanta in the US, President William Ruto highlighted several key strategies to be implemented to tackle unemployment, including affordable housing project, at the same time urging the diaspora community to pay their taxes. James Baraka is on that beat tonight.
close to 5 million Kenyans who don't have jobs. Our own children, Kenyans out of school, Kenyans out of college, Kenyans out of university, and they don't have jobs.
As the Kenyan population continues to grow each day, the cost of living still
Yeah? Already as I talk to you, there are 140,000 Kenyans today who work in our housing housing sector who did not have jobs a year ago.
And in a move to invest in a shared future through higher education, Kenya is working together with America's higher education to develop programs aligned with industry requirements for thriving in a sustainable way. This is majorly through utilization of the digital space as a networking opportunity for job creation.
Has another almost 1 million jobs. And it is the reason why, if you read our manifesto, we said that we are going to have 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic backbone around Kenya. Every ward in Kenya is going to have an ICT hub. Not just in Nairobi, not just in Ruiru, but all the other towns in Kenya.
According to the president, health and agriculture sectors will also undergo some changes to boost the economy.
For health insurance on the basis of one's income. You know, the more you pay, the more you earn, the more you pay. And that is why we are saying those who cannot afford, we're going to make sure that the government of Kenya pays for them. We are continue to invest in that space, in making sure that our dairy, horticulture, our agriculture in general has the necessary support to make sure that we enhance our production.
However, the president reminded Kenyans to be responsible in paying taxes if these developments are to be met, while assuring them the safety of their taxes.
You don't build a country because of debts. Ati kukopa hapa na kukopa pale. You build your country using your own taxes. So, munite zakayo, munite nini, lakini tulipe tax tujenge Kenya.
President Ruto's state visit to the United States continues until Friday this week. James Baraka, KUTV News.
Now, still in the United States, President William Ruto is in the U.S. on an official state visit, which is one of the highest regard for president visiting the country. Ruto is also the 6th president in the world to attend an official state visit under President Joe Biden's reign. This turns of event raises questions concerning Ruto's presence in the arena of international politics. Our senior political affairs reporter Munene Weru dissects Ruto's visit to the U.S. and its impact to the Kenyan people.
President William Ruto's official state visit to the United States has made history, that of an East African leader climbing the international ranks and gaining global glory. An official state visit in the United States is the highest honor to any foreign leader, and besides that, President Ruto has also made history by becoming the first president from Africa to do an international state visit to the United States in the past 16 years.
As the first state visit by a Kenyan head of state in 2 decades, and the first by an African head of state since 2008.
Ruto's star shining in his official state visit to the United States has prompted talk about his presence as a global leader in the international political arena. As soon as President Ruto came into power, he championed for the fight against climate change, emerging as a powerhouse fighting against the effects of climate change. Last year, Ruto hosted the African Climate Summit held here in Nairobi, which brought together leaders not only from Africa, but also Western powerhouses such as the United States, represented by Secretary of State Antony Blinken, and the European Union, led by President Ursula von der Leyen. According to Caroline Wandiri, an international relations expert, President Ruto's climate stance has played a monumental role in his global glory that led to his invitation by President Joe Biden.
He is interested in matters on climate change, and he has emphasized that one many times, that we need to engage even in the planting of trees to make it easier and habitable for everyone, not just now, but even in the future.
Additionally, Dr. Wandiri explains that the United States is pleased by Ruto's security efforts in Haiti, where he plans to deploy Kenyan police to the war-torn country.
Looking at matters on security, he has bought the idea that or that there should be a Kenyan mission to Haiti for purposes of sustaining peace. On aspect of the geopolitical positioning of Kenya, in reference to matters on security, I think America has been very much interested in Kenya.
Former President Uhuru Kenyatta's pendulum heavily swung towards Eastern allies, especially China, during his term. However, with President Ruto, the compass often points to the east. The United States marvels at this change of guard and heart, especially at a time when African nations are massively rejecting their American policies and embarking on a new route of policy independence. Despite this, Dr. Caroline warns that the involvement with the United States must be approached with shrewdness, as Kenya risks losing independence from entangling with the United States a little too much.
This is an issue of caution. The president must be able to tread very carefully, because we should be able to stand strong by our foreign policy document. We should not allow an external actor, if you like, to be like the ones that prescribe what our foreign policy should be.
Munene Weru, KU.
Right, thank you Munene Weru for that comprehensive reporting. Now back at home, President, or rather Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has urged Mount Kenya leaders to tone down and channel their energy to serving Kenyans. At the same time, Gachagua vowed to continue with his mission of uniting Mount Kenya region, irrespective of their political affiliation. This story was produced by Brenda Nyongesa.
While attending a funeral service in Kirinyaga County, the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua asked the leaders to focus on their responsibilities of serving the citizens instead of focusing on securing 2027 elective positions. At the same time, the Deputy President promised coffee farmers that UDA government will restore Coffee Board of Kenya and Kenya Planters Cooperative Union, KPCU, accusing leaders of allowing the boards to create small unions that resulted to disruption of the union board, causing a misunderstanding.
The President has agreed with me ya kwamba madeni ya kahawa ile iko na cooperative societies na unions na SACCOs, the same way the government has waived debts for sugarcane farmers, the same will apply to coffee farmers.
Gachagua also assured farmers that existing coffee debts will be waived to support a new start for farmers, the same way sugarcane farmers' debt was cleared. He has assured them that at the return of the President Ruto from his state visit in America, a cabinet memo will be issued through the Cabinet Secretary of Cooperative and Micro and Small Enterprise, Simon Kiprono Chelugui.
Next week, when the President is back from the United States, we are going to bring a cabinet memo. Tumemwambia Waziri Chelugui atayarishe, tukuje tupitishe kwa cabinet, so that we waive all those debts, so that we have a fresh start.
Farmers have been informed that the reform assigned to the Deputy President is progressing well, while assuring them that this year will be better. Kenya Tea Development Agencies, KTDA, has been encouraged to conduct an election that will aid in ensuring the responsibility of those dealing in tea. Reporting for KUTV, my name is Ndongo Pauline.
And now switching gears to education matters. Junior secondary school intern teachers have vowed to down their tools until the government heed to their call. The JSS teachers have been striking since schools reopened for the second term, paralyzing learning in most institutions. The intern teachers took to the streets to protest the failure of Teachers Service Commission to hire them on permanent and pensionable terms, as Rahab Wanja now reports.
In In a fervent display of discontent, junior secondary school teachers across various counties in Kenya, including Machakos, Kajiado, and West Pokot, have rallied against their contractual employment terms, demanding permanently and pensionable terms. They have taken to the streets, leaving classrooms empty until their grievances are addressed by the government. The Kenya Union of Pre-Primary Education Teachers West Pokot branch directs junior secondary school teachers to strike until employed permanently. They demand fair treatment from the government, emphasizing their crucial role and long-standing grievances. Secretary General of KUPPET, Alfred Kamuto, said that as a union, they must come in and support their teachers, whom they spend so much in educating them. According to him, JSS teachers are the most poorly paid teachers, despite the crucial role they play in nurturing and sharpening learners at an early age of life.
Telling TSC, if they are not going to confirm those teachers into permanent and pensionable, we are telling our teachers not to go to class because we want them to get their rights to be employed into permanent and pensionable.
Geoffrey, one of the JSS teachers, said that TSC should obey the court orders by confirming and compensating them.
To present our anger to the TSC ya kwamba lazima watu confirm na kutu compensate kwa ile kazi tumeangaikia huko Shakahola. Na siku ya leo lazima wajue na lazima waheshimu court orders. Yes. Kotini the court has pronounced internship as illegal. Sisi hatuwezi kuitwa interns. Sisi ni watu tumesoma, tumemaliza shule.
The teachers have vowed not to leave the streets until their demands are met. Rahab Wanja, KUTV.
That story by Rahab Wanja takes us to our first break here on State of the Nation. Remember, plenty more to follow after the break. See you in a while.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audiovisual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
Ni kaunti maarufu kwa kuzalisha maziwa na ukuzaji wa majani chai. Pia serikali ya kaunti inawahimiza wakulima kukumbatia mitindo mingine ya kilimo kuzidisha mapato.
Kama kuna kikundi moja inafanya biashara ya kuuza kuku, hao pia tumewafadhili kuwafunza jinsi ya kuhandle zile kuku kwa sababu wanaleta kwa wingi.
Haya yote tunakuletea katika Boresha Kilimo, toleo la kaunti ya Bomet.
Kilimo ni nguzo kubwa kwa ujenzi wa taifa.
Access to knowledge. Solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights. accessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Auma Evans.
Alright, welcome back, and we're glad you chose to stay with us. Remember, this is the State of the Nation. We have a couple of stories to run you by before we get into our topic of the day, where we take a look at matters, politics, business, and everything in between. But let's move on. Over 130,000 2023 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education students are expected to join public universities this September this year, while other 18,000 may find their place in private institutions. This is according to the Kenya Universities and College Central Placement Services, or if you prefer the acronym KUPS. Speaking during the release of the results, KUPS CEO Agnes Wahome revealed that more female students who sat for the national examinations in 2023 applied for degree courses at the universities, whereas more female students apply for degree program at the TVET institutions, with the Bachelor of Education attracting the highest number of applicants. Now, the Kenya Meteorological Department has now warned residents along the coastal region against undertaking sea activities in small boats, which risk being swept away by strong wind and waves occasioned by the cyclone Aili. As Theo Mashari explains in the following report, the cyclone formed in the Indian Ocean south of Seychelles is now moving at a speed of 100 km per hour.
According to a statement released by the Director of Kenya Meteorological Department, heavy rainfall, strong winds and ocean waves will be expected from Sunday through Wednesday. The heavy rainfall is predicted to intensify to more than 40 millimeters in 24 hours over the Rift Valley, highlands west and east of the Rift Valley including Nairobi area, Lake Victoria Basin and off the coast, and reduce in intensity on Wednesday inland but intensify along the coast from May 22nd to 24th. Reports link the heavy rainfall and strong winds to a tropical storm cyclone Iali over the southwest Indian Ocean. The storm is likely to enhance rainfall over the western half of the country, parts of the highlands east of the Rift Valley, including Nairobi County and its environs, and also occasion large waves over the Indian Ocean. Fresh to strong breezes with wind speeds of 10 to 30 knots are expected over Somalia, Kenya and Tanzania waters, with reports indicating that the cyclone formed in the Indian Ocean south of Seychelles last week was moving at 35 kilometers per hour and is now at 100 kilometers per hour. Small boats and crafts are advised not to venture into deep sea areas during this forecast period, for there is a likelihood of being filled with water, therefore affecting their stability. The statement further warned that strong winds may blow off roofs, uproot trees and cause structural damages. However, the destruction depends mainly on the intensity, size and location. With this being the second cyclone projected on the Kenyan coast in the last 4 weeks, earlier this month, Cyclone Hidaya hit the Tanzanian coast with devastating effects, but its effects in Kenya were mild. Theo Masharia for KUTV News.
Alright, Right, now let's dive into the world of sports. Now, Kenya's seventh hope of advancing to the HSBC Challenger Series final in Munich were dashed away after suffering 19-7 defeat to Germany in the ongoing Munich Challenger Series rugby tournament. Shujaa had maintained a good record in the group stages by winning over Chile, Portugal and Japan, but could not hold that record in the knockout stages against the host Germany. Despite the loss, Kenya Shujaa team qualified for the upcoming HSBC Sevens Madrid playoffs in Spain, which are set for May 31st to June 2nd, where they will face Chile, Samoa and the host nation, Spain. Now, from rugby to football, Liverpool has agreed a deal with Arne Slot to become the club's new head coach. The former Feyenoord tactician will take on the mantle from Jurgen Klopp on 1st June 2024 after Klopp's contract expires at the end of the summer. At the same time, Bayern Munich has shown interest in Burnley head coach Vincent Kompany. Alright, we are taking yet a very short break here on State of the Nation. Remember, up next is the discussion about the State of the Nation, where we take a look at now the troubled Mount Kenya politics, and of course we have the Limuru 3 meeting that was held last Friday, that is on Friday last week, and of course we'll be getting some insight in regard to what happened and some of the resolutions that were made, and of course the way forward as far as uniting the mountain is concerned. And that discussion is coming to you after this very short break.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audiovisual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
They are powerful and influential. They make decisions in politics, education, finance, agriculture, health, sports, and all aspects of human life. But the impact of their decisions falls on you, the common citizen. KUTV Primetime News Thursday. We ask bold questions and pursue answers to the core to bring you closer to the story. We couldn't have it any other way. Join me, Auma, as I raise matters of social concern to raise your voice from the background to the foreground. Every Thursday and Saturday at 9 p.m. only on KUTV.
are watching KUTV Primetime News with Auma Evans.
Alright, welcome back, and now this is the State of the Nation, and the discussion begins right now. Remember, you can be part and person of this discussion. You can plug in your views, comment and feedback. You can ask questions in regard to this particular discussion that we are having tonight. Remember, the show is all about you, the common man. And of course, tonight we are taking a sharp focus, rather dissecting and of course tilting our lens to the Limuru 3 and of course the Mount Kenya politics. And of course, to help us unpack this discussion is one and only Eston Maina, a political scientist and of course a youth leader that is from Laikipia, yes, the Jubilee Party to be precise. Asante sana Eston for making time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so straight away, fresh from Limuru 3 meeting, a lot of resolutions there, and of course a lot of promises and even a lot of criticism. Some of you are criticizing the government for its taxation, and that is something that we'll take a look at it. Well, let me first of all begin by the objective of this Limuru 3. As someone who has followed the meeting very closely, and of course I'm sure you are deeply involved in this the Limuru 3 affairs, did it meet the expectation? Did it achieve the required or rather the intended result at the end of the day, given the fact that many have termed it as a move that is seen to be a tribal based, some sort of political region, and something that could actually divide the country should we move in that particular direction. But of course, as the conveners and of course people who are actively involved in this, has it met the expectation? Did it at the end of the day, did you acquire the
threshold,
the final result, something that you're looking for?
What I will say is that we did not just meet the threshold. Mm-hmm. We surpassed it. We surpassed the expectation, because this is the first time we're seeing a convention that is emanating from the people. Mm-hmm. Because formerly it was the political leaders who facilitated the constituents and the citizens to some of these meetings. Mm-hmm. And now for the very first time we have a meeting that the people, due to their own aggrievement or maybe their own problems that they are facing, mm-hmm, they felt the need to converge and speak in one voice, and they facilitated themselves. So how did the people get to convene? Of course, there had to be leaders who were supposed to facilitate, not financially, but to moderate. That is the word. There were leaders who were supposed to moderate. And the leaders asked, can you suggest people within your locality that would be interested to have a discussion that is not financed? People that are willing to come, sit down and converse without any expectations of lunch and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And people started sending names. Mm-hmm. And invitations now were sent out, mm-hmm, to those names. There were 4,000 of them. Mm-hmm. It many turned out? Over 5,000 people. So did we meet the expectation or did we surpass it? We surpassed it. On the question of it being a tribal outfit, mm-hmm, it's really saddening that we have different laws for different regions of the country. All right. Because when we have leaders from the Mulembe Nation, mm-hmm, calling upon the Mulembe Nation to unite, mm-hmm, then it's a good thing. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing that the Mulembe Nation wants to unite, because it has been disunited for the longest time. Mm-hmm. But when such a convention is held from this Mount Kenya region side, then it is termed tribal. I would not see it as a tribal outfit. Mm-hmm. I want you to look at it as a as a bargaining front, as a bargaining bloc. The same way you look at, the ECOWAS, the East African Community. You cannot say that maybe when we have the EAC, we're being tribal against the rest of Africa.
And that's the problem, because if each tribe will pull in one direction, let's say Mount Kenya advocating for the Mount Kenyans people and their right, then the Mulembe Nation, same, go to Nyanza. Don't you think the marginalized communities that for so long they have actually bear the brunt of being sidelined by the government in terms of key appointment and even in terms of resource allocation? Don't you think this is a bad move that, just like critics says, could actually divide the country? Should we follow this same trajectory?
I do not think it would. It is something that is bound to divide the country, because sometimes it's good to be realistic. We can't be delusional. We do not exist in a vacuum. You have to, when you look at even the politics of developed nations, the element of tribe is something that you cannot, you cannot put out of a country, because people will always go back to their identity, and that is why even if you go to the to the most prominent countries like the United States, it is very difficult for a black man to be elected. But when these regions converge, the regions you are saying, the marginalized regions converge, now they will have someone who will speak on their behalf. Because now when everyone... Why we have democracy is that, we have the type of democracy where, a few represent the many. So they can have someone from their region represent them. And why, particularly why we are pushing for the one man, one vote, one shilling agenda from Mount Kenya region is for this reason. And even the marginalized you're talking about, they will be considered on a one man, one vote, one shilling basis. It is not a Mount Kenya thing.
And we'll talk about the one man and the one man, the one shilling vote. And let me draw you back still. Well, we are talking about now the unity, and of course it is one mountain, one voice. And very true in that regard. Well, now, remember in Mount Kenya we have at least political leaders elected. We have, by virtue of standards, when we go in terms of order of hierarchy, Deputy President, of course, is the second senior most politician in the country. And many will assume that this is maybe a leader that many people look up to him, especially people from the Mount Kenya, to actually spearhead this drive of one man, one voice, one mountain. Fair enough. My question is, in your quest to make the dream a reality, talk to me about the hurdle and how you're going to achieve this. Because trust me, facing the mountain at this point, of course, require a lot of work and, should I say, resources to that point. So what's the plan in uniting Mount Kenya?
On the question of having leaders in government, yes, the Mount Kenya region can boast a number of leaders, or maybe close to the majority of leaders in government. But I want us to look at the kind of leadership we elected. And now this now impacts on the voter. Because now when you vote along party lines and not on individual basis, the kind of politics we play in Kenya is the individualistic kind of politics. It is not the ideological type of politics. And now we have people who decide to vote on maybe to vote for particular people just because they belong to a particular political party. And now we have now problems where the voters now voted in people who were just there to serve the government of the day as opposed to the people. Now we have representatives in parliament who are not there to represent their people. They're representing the president. And you can remember there was a time when the president convened a meeting in State House, and this member of the members of parliament were saying the ground is hostile. And he told them, you do not have to be popular all the time. You only need to be popular when it matters. So when you have leaders that answer to a higher power, they say whoever pays the piper calls the tunes. And now we have leaders who are not representing the people; they're representing some higher power. And now the people have realized, and that is why they are convening. For the first time, they funded their own sitting. For the first time, people, paid for their own transport, their accommodation, food. They traveled from as far as Laikipia, myself included, and we made the way to Limuru.
Okay. And you've really raised a very important aspect to this. Well, you remember at the very beginning I asked you about the objective, and of course you have said you met the objective. Now the question is, the real objective of this Limuru 3, what was it?
The real objective of it was to have one mountain, one voice, just like I have said.
Good.
And Rome was not built in a day.
Okay, now hang on there.
Okay.
To have one mountain, one voice. Well, what about now the critics about the high cost of living? Was it part of the agenda? Or is it fair to say much of this Limuru 3 meeting, in as much as it was calling for one man, 1 shillings, one vote, one mountain, most of it was some sort of political rhetorics, and of course attacked directly, directed to the current regime.
Okay, this is what I will say. You cannot separate politics from your day-to-day life, because everything you do is politics. You know, what you wear, the price is determined by politics. You know, how you get to work, if you're going to drive, if you're going to board a matatu, the prices are determined by your government. So when we decided to have one mountain, one voice, it is the same voice you're talking about. You know, these cries, we now needed to magnify them, because when it is you and me maybe shouting at different corners, now we can't be heard. But when we come together and maybe decide, Evans and so will represent us in maybe agitating for the rights or maybe our problems. Now you will have one voice, and you will now be able to have a sitting maybe with the government of the day and discuss on the matters that you don't agree upon. As opposed to maybe expecting Wanjiko there in the grassroots to have the president listen to her. That is almost impossible, because I don't even think, even during campaigns where the president has to go to the villages, they don't get to meet everyone. They just meet the few people. So, and that is why we needed to have a sitting, have a discussion, have resolutions, as a region. Because when we see regions like Western Kenya, when they're bargaining for power, they go to the president with demands. We want roads, we want this, that, and that. And that is part of bargaining. And that is not being tribal. It is just, it is the element of government. What is governance? What is politics? The allocation and distribution of resources. So it is for you to be on that table, to decide on how these resources will be distributed. If you cannot be on that table, maybe you can have someone represent you.
All right.
And that is how democracy works.
And fair enough. Now let's talk about the resolutions. One of them, you formed a coalition, that is Haki Coalition. And there was this drive, one man, one vote, 1 shilling. Yes. And this is actually a narrative perpetrated, or rather forwarded, by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And hang on, that is one of them. And of course, but I'm very interested about now the coalition, the Haki Coalition. And now that this one was a formation of at least 32 parties, if I'm not wrong, leaders from different 31, including Jubilee, because UDA, because I saw some leaders from and of course that makes it 32. Well, for those in Jubilee, and of course we have NAK Kenya, this is a guy from Azimio. So talk to me first about the formation of Azimio, whether it stands, test of time, and where does it leave it? Is it now an exit plan, or what are we seeing into it?
The problem is that people associate Azimio with the element Baba. Azimio is, it is a coalition of several parties, and of course ODM included. And just because maybe lately you have seen maybe the flag bearer of Azimio maybe now sitting down with the government, does not mean that Azimio is dead. Because now he has his own personal interest. He has his own personal pursuits that are different from the the pursuits of of the parties and the coalition. Because even in ODM, you will realize that the majority of the members in ODM do not support this new, let me say, relationship between the government and the opposition. Because why we need a functional opposition is because there is need for checks and balances. And when you have a government where most of our elected leaders are, for lack of a better word, they are tumbocrats. They are led by their stomachs. They don't go there to. For instance, you remember the finance bill of 2023. Most of them say they had not read it. They just passed it. They just voted for it because that is what their president wanted. And that is why now we need Azimio. We need an opposition that is fully functional. In the event that you're saying, because politics, in politics you always have to be prepared, because not so many people knew that the party leader Raila Odinga was going to maybe sit down with the government. Nobody knew. And that is why it is always important to have a fallback plan in politics, and that is why we have Haki Coalition.
So this is a fallback plan.
Yes, it is in support of Azimio. Yes, but in the eventuality that the vision of Azimio does not get us to where we want to go, we have to have our own way to get where we want to go, and this is the Haki Coalition.
So first of all, do you support the relationship between Odinga and president? Because this is a very specific question, because it involves, one is eyeing actually the Africa Union chairmanship seat. But do you support the new pact between the two leaders? This
is what I will say. I will never be opposed to any attempts at peace. That is something I will never be opposed to. But what I will never support is having the opposition go to bed with the government, because each of them have a part to play. Even in the event where we have a friendly, we can have a very radical opposition that is always, running helter-skelter with the government, as opposed to now when you can have an opposition that sits down and talks to the government. Am I opposed to Raila Odinga and Ruto being, friends? And I am not opposed to that. But am I opposed to maybe the opposition now wanting to go to bed with the government? That I would not support.
And what is the general feeling in regard to the new pact between President William Ruto? Remember, he's now the chief campaigner for Mr. Odinga. So what is the general mood there as far as the leaders from Mount Kenya?
This is how I will put it. Politics is about interests.
All right.
Politics is not a marriage. Don't go there out of love. And I don't think these two gentlemen are sitting down together purely because they love each other. No, they're just there because their personal interests at this point align. William Ruto knows that for him to have an easier time come 2027, he needs Baba out of the way. What is the easiest way to get Baba out of the way? Get him elected as the chairperson of the African Union. So in as much as maybe the Raila Odinga camp knows that the government is not doing whatever it's doing out of love, but out of its own now, interest. I don't. There's someone who told us a while back that if there's someone that Raila Odinga has a problem with, the biggest problem, even if you look at his politics, his utterances, it is the man William Ruto. If you play back the political history of the two, you will see that their fallout was ugly, and it was actually personal. And the fact that you see these two gentlemen sit together and and have a common agenda, which is the AU, should tell you as the public, sometimes you don't need to fight for these people, because these people will call us on maandamano where we get shot at, and at the end of the day, what these people are seeking is just political leverage.
Okay.
And at this point now, I think out of the maandamano, Baba got the political leverage he needed to have a sitting with Ruto. But I want you to remember that
because it's fine. I'll give you time. When you say out of Mandamano, of course, Raila got the political leverage.
Yeah, he got
fine,
the attention.
But this Mandamano, I saw Martha Karua, I saw Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka NEET, Jeremiah Kioni, the famous Sufuria.
Now you're getting my point. The fallback plan. Because now we have, let's say, 4 or 5 gentlemen who are agitating for the same thing, but we don't think alike. One day, Evans may wake up and decide this is the route I'm taking. So does that mean that now you stop the movement that you had started just because so and so has found a different different pursuit? And that is why we need alternatives, and that is why I'm so much against this government that is trying to suffocate our political parties. They're trying to take us back to the single party rule. That is what they're trying to do, and that is why any attempt to convene and maybe form something that does not support the government is considered tribal. It is considered let's say detrimental to the growth of the country.
But it's fair to say the Limuru 3 was much of a tribal thing. It's a Mount Kenya affair.
No.
Because if you have followed keenly the history of Limuru, we had the Limuru 1, and of course Limuru 2, then we have 3. The Limuru and the first one, remember how it was?
The first one was for the re-election of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. The second one was now for the election of Uhuru Kenyatta. And now the third one, we're coming together and seeking direction as a community. So why is that tribal? Why is that tribal? When we have maybe let's say Kalenjin leaders come together, when we have Luo leaders come together, has never been considered tribal. I have never heard of anyone call out maybe ODM for heavily relying on Nyanza. It has never been termed as tribal. But when you come to the mountain and you have an outfit that is emanating from the mountain, now it becomes tribal. Why is it tribal? We are agitating for the same for the same things that every single Kenyan out there is agitating for. But remember one thing, charity begins at home. Some of these leaders who are at the forefront of this same movement come from a region. Some of these leaders, if they go to a region like maybe the lakeside, they would not be listened to. So charity has to begin somewhere, and it begins at home. When you consolidate your home unit, then you can go out there and talk to some friends. Now you can see my home is ready and set. Now can you join us in our movement? And that is how coalitions are made.
Now, even as we wind up on this the Limuru 3 discussion, well, let me ask you this. Who was the convener of Limuru 3?
The people.
The people.
The people themselves.
And the people themselves, of course. Now, there is another very interesting aspect. The retired president, Uhuru Kenyatta. And of course, arguably, he is now the leader of the new coalition.
The spokesperson.
Definitely still very much alive to the fact that he calls the calls. Let me see.
Yeah. Okay. I want you to look at one factor, that he is the only person we have right now alive who has been president. So if we are seeking to have maybe a president from this region in future, who is the best person to seek advice from? He is the senior most politician in Mount Kenya, whether we like it or not. So what is wrong with us having him as our patron to advise us on matters, matters politics, matters governance, something he very much knows. There's no problem in having Uhuru Kenyatta as the patron. There's no problem in Mount Kenya coming together and saying, this is the person we want to speak for us. Because we have seen what he has done for the region. We have seen what he has bargained for the region, and this is a person who has the interest of the region at heart.
All right. Even as we wind up, now there is a very interesting happenings that we have witnessed for the better part of this week. I'm talking about now the perceived conflict between President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, and we saw leaders, especially from the Nyeri County, of course led by the governor, that is Mutahi Kahiga, speaking very passionately about some of the things that they will not want to see happen to their son. And of course, do you think maybe it's about time some of these political differences between maybe the house maybe basically is on fire?
Where there is smoke, there is definitely fire. And if you have been looking at the that the political occurrences that have been happening, you will realize that for the longest time the deputy president has been sidelined. And it started off when President Ruto decided to prioritize sending Musalia Mudavadi on these state visits when he was not even the Minister for Foreign Affairs. And when that became an issue, what did he do to cover that? Now he officially made the Prime Cabinet Secretary to double up as the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, so that if he decides to send him on foreign missions and not the deputy president, he will simply be doing it because this is the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs. But we have seen it. We have seen, the sidelining. Why did it happen? Because, and that is now why we needed the Limuru 3. Because for the first time, we came into government without an agreement. When you look at, the western, side of the country, they came in with their own parties. They have their bargaining power. But when you look at Rigathi Gachagua, he entered, somebody else's outfit with no agreements, and now he's crying that he has been sidelined.
But the UDA was formed by both of them, the president and of course his deputy.
You cannot say that it was formed by both of them when you very much know that Ruto was under pressure to either pick Kithure Kindiki or Rigathi Gachagua.
But we're talking about the house, of which that is the UDA. And this is a political party that was formed by both leaders.
I want you to realize one thing. Most of these leaders you see today, most of these leaders who boast in Kenya, they were not elected on their own capacity. They were elected simply because they supported William Ruto, because he embarked on campaigns still when he was the deputy president. He campaigned way longer than everyone else, and as a result, consequently, he happened to speak to the hearts of the people. And now we had a UDA that was formed by people who knew that the only thing that could get them elected is saying that William Ruto is my friend. Rigathi Gachagua included. I can assure you, whoever Ruto would have picked back then from Mount Kenya would have still made him president.
Fair enough. And unfortunately, we have run out of time. And many thanks, Stone Maina, political science, and of course, youth leader from Laikipia County, Jubilee youth leader. And asante sana for making time, for sharing your knowledge and expertise as far as the Limuru 3 and the Mount Kenya politics is concerned. And that is the time that we had for you. Many thanks for the men and women behind the scene, and for all those who made this production a success. And of course for you, our lowest viewer, for always keeping us a company in the last 55 minutes or so. My good name is Auma Evans. Lucy Kiare has been a sign language interpreter tonight. Until next time, bye-bye and God bless Kenya.
Kwa kuzalisha maziwa na ukuzaji wa majani chai. Pia serikali ya kaunti inawahimiza wakulima kukumbatia mitindo mingine ya kilimo kuzidisha mapato.
Kama kuna kikundi moja inafanya biashara ya kuuza kuku, hao pia tumewafadhili kuwafunza jinsi ya kuhandle zile kuku kwa sababu wanaleta kwa wingi.
Haya yote tunakuletea katika Boresha Kilimo, toleo la kaunti ya Bomet.
Kilimo ni nguzo kubwa kwa ujenzi wa taifa.
Get ready to kickstart your day with the most exciting morning show around. Tune in to our dynamic and entertaining program where we keep you informed, engaged, and entertained from the moment you wake up.
From breaking news and current events to music,